Hello, and welcome to an overview of the Drug Negotiation and Contracting Overview webinar. My name is Sharon Yeske, and I am a reimbursement and policy specialist for drugs within the Small Business Education and Entrepreneurial Development, or SEED, office. So, let's get started. There are 3 learning objectives for this presentation that will cover the role of the payer in determining reimbursement for a new drug, how to prepare for a drug negotiation, and the payer contracting process cycle. I will provide a high-level overview of this process and focus on a new brand name drug. While there are different types of payer contracts, this presentation focuses on a discount off list price and paid in the form of rebates by a manufacturer to a payer. First, it is important to remember that having a drug approved by the FDA is first and foremost to move forward to commercial success. However, it's equally important to ensure reimbursement by payers and provide access to prescribers for widespread adoption and uptake in the marketplace. Part of a reimbursement strategic plan that may begin as early as 24 to 36 months prior to anticipated launch is gaining an understanding of the drug negotiation process and subsequent contracting. Basically, how well the drug is negotiated for positioning on a payer's covered drug formulary may well determine whether it is a preferred drug versus a non-preferred drug. So, as you can imagine, having the drug listed in a preferred tier position on a payer's covered drug formulary is a multi-step process, commonly referred to as the payer contracting process. It involves identifying payers, performing a market analysis and risk assessment, developing your contract strategy, negotiating, and signing a contract. And what comes after? Post-market tracking, assessment, and renegotiating per the terms of the contract. It is an iterative process over the life cycle of the drug. So let's start with identifying your payers, the entities that you will be negotiating with for coverage and preferred status. The payers could include a health plan, but in today's marketplace, you will most likely be negotiating with a pharmacy benefit manager, commonly called a PBM. Negotiations are typically initiated for a discount on the list price of your drug that takes the form of a rebate paid by the manufacturer back to the PBM for every unit of the drug that is dispensed to and paid for by a patient. In addition, you will also be seeking preferred positioning on the formulary with few or no utilization management restrictions. It is important, though, to remember that rebates are required by law in many of the government programs, such as state Medicaid programs. You should also know what type of prescriber will be writing prescriptions for your new drug and the demographics for the patient population that could benefit from this new drug. It is not enough to ensure positioning on the payer's formulary, but also to ensure patients can access the drug at an affordable price. Next, you want to perform a market analysis and risk assessment by gathering information to many questions. What does the payer's formulary currently cover? Is there another drug or several drugs in the same therapeutic category that pose a competitive threat? What is the current market share for each of those drugs? Internally, you will need to determine what percentage of market share will you be seeking and the level of risk and whether it is acceptable to meet the company's near-term and long-range profit goals. So, based on the information gathered and internal risk assessment, start narrowing down your profit and market share target goals. It will be important to know what type of access will support those goals, preferred versus non-preferred. Next, determine how much of a rebate or discount you will offer per payer, including a maximum amount. Your payer account managers, who most likely will be meeting and negotiating on the company's behalf, will need to know this information, especially when dealing with certain key payers and PBMs. As mentioned earlier, a discount on the list price of your drug often takes the form of a rebate paid by the manufacturer back to the PBM and is used by payers to determine whether to add new drugs to their formularies. Following the payer's specific contracting process that may include meetings and communications back and forth, determine your maximum profitability based on the contract terms. Finalize those numbers and gain internal approval of the level of discounts, rebates to be provided to the payer or PBM. Sign the agreement. Once pricing and contracts are negotiated, approved, and agreements signed, it will be important to track and compare your forecast data to the actual data from sales. This information will help support renegotiations of contracts which can occur on an annual basis, depending upon the payer's contract terms. A good example of this annual bid and negotiation process occurs with Medicare Part D prescription plans. This slide represents planning for a typical payer contracting cadence that should include the development of guiding principles, especially for the face-to-face meetings. Things like developing and determining the logistics, how you're going to communicate, prepare opening statements, and honestly, prepare and perform a meeting dress rehearsal. Determine who will be responsible for the negotiation, who's going to be in the meeting, and ultimately, who are the approvers. So, in summary, this presentation is a high-level overview of the payer negotiation and contracting process. Each payer will have their own process to follow. It is important to develop a good working relationship with payers, as this is an iterative process over the life cycle of the drug. The ultimate goal for any new drug should be to ensure market access so patients can get your drug at an affordable price. So do the research, analyses, and scenario planning to help support a successful drug negotiation. And if you still have questions after listening to this recording, you can always reach out to us and request a consult with someone from our team. In addition, the SEED website contains links to additional information that discuss the reimbursement strategy planning in more detail with some key examples. Thank you.